What's up, guys? Jake here with JakesGotHerps, not to be confused with herpes. Herpes is nasty. In this video, I'm going to be doing another care video. This one's going to be on Crested Geckos. I know not a lot of people ask for a Crested Gecko care video specifically, but I figured I would make one anyway, just so these care videos, stay in an order that makes sense, going from level of care that's pretty easy to, more advanced, I guess. I think that makes sense. So we're going to be talking about Crested Geckos because arguably they're even easier to take care of than leopard geckos. I know that might be hard to believe, but they really are. Two main reasons they make really great pets. I mean, there's more reasons than this, but the two ones that people and parents specifically really like is that they don't require any extra heating, any supplemental heat most of the time, unless you're in the basement like I am. During the winter, then it'll probably drop below the ideal temperature, but they don't really need, the room temperature is usually fine for them depending on where you live, obviously. And also they don't need to eat any live insects. If you use Crested Gecko diet by Rapashi, you'll be perfectly fine, just feeding them that. I like to feed them insects too, just to vary up the diet a little bit, but you don't really have to if you don't want to. And so in terms of caging, you do want something taller than it is wide because they are arboreal. Something like this Exoterra would work extremely well because this is how they're designed. I like the front opening doors, and I think they just look a lot nicer with the background, and they're just really good cages. If you can't really afford this, you don't really need to. You can use the Rubbermaid tubs that are a little bit bigger, a little bit taller. Those work well. Also, again, they're not as nice for viewing, but your Crested Gecko is really not going to care that much. The aesthetics are more for you, not really for your Crested Gecko. As long as they have adequate hides and humidity and your husbandry is spot on, you can pretty much use whatever you want. Including, you can just take a 10-gallon aquarium and turn it, so the screen would be this side right here, and you just use clips or something to keep it on. That would work fine too. You can also use the screen cages they use for chameleons. As long as you make an added effort to keep your humidity up, you'd be fine with those too. A good cage size for an adult would be this 12 by 12 by 18 would probably be fine for an adult, although I would probably go up to the 18 by 18 by 24 just for a little more space, give them more room to hide and to climb and stuff. In terms of setting up your cage, you want an assortment of plants, whether that be live or fake, some branches, some vines, cork bark. They really like cork bark, very good addition. A lot of just things for them to hide in and for them to climb on. You want a lot of surface area in your tank because the way they get most of their hydration is they lick the droplets off the leaves. So the more surface area of plants and stuff you have in your tank, the better. If you don't want to use live plants like I'm using, you can use these fake weed-looking plants. People might think you're a stoner, but that's okay. Your Crested Gecko will enjoy them. And cork bark's a good addition to pretty much any viv. They like to climb in it. They like to hide under it. It's a really good thing to put in your cages. And yeah. In terms of substrate, you have a couple different options. I really like this forest bark stuff. It seems to work very well, keeping up the humidity, and it's very decorative looking, and I just really like it. You can also use moss. You can use pretty much any kind of moss you want. You could probably even get moss outside if you really want to. You can use this green moss by All Living Things. You can use other kinds of reptile moss. You can use sphagnum moss that you get at Home Depot. That stuff works very well also because it has more bacteria in it that help break down waste and stuff. It's just a little more natural. I'm using the green moss just because I got it and I wanted to try it out. And it works pretty well. In terms of temperature, most of the time room temperature is going to be sufficient, like I just said. You want a low to high 70s temperature. Anything above, above the 80s, getting up to 85 degrees, that is pushing it. You're going to stress out your gecko and, possibly cause them an illness, which is something you don't want. They can drop into the 60s at night. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to drop them in temperature during the night, but you can if you want to. Or if that's a problem, keeping up the temperature at night, you'd probably be fine. And you don't really need any UVB lighting. It's good to have a photo period of 12 hours, but you can get away with that with just the lighting in your house. You don't really need a little light. This is just a normal fluorescent bulb. I'm just putting it on here more for the video purposes than anything, just so you can see everything a little bit better. As far as humidity goes, you want to keep a 60 to 80% humidity. Anything too much higher and you're going to start getting life growing in your tank. You're going to get mold and stuff, which is not what you want. the way you can get that up is obviously using a good humidity substrate. If you're using like newspaper, paper towel, which is a fine substrate, you can use that if you want. Um, um, excuse me. Your humidity is not going to be as high. You're going to need to do more things to keep it up. If you're using like this bark, or if you're using eco earth or moss or anything like that, that's going to retain moisture, that's going to help keep the humidity up. Just make sure it doesn't get too moist, or else you're going to start getting, like I said, bacteria and mold and mildew and stuff in your tank, and that's never good. You can also mist your tank. You have to do that anyway, though, because you can provide them a water dish. That's fine, but they're going to drink most of the water off the leaves, so you're going to need to mist your tank at least once a day. I would imagine that would be fine, like I'm doing here. Just mist everything so it gets a little bit moist and there's droplets everywhere. You can also make humid hides. I have this little cork bark tube stuffed with moss, and it keeps the humidity up very high there. So if you want a little retreat that's higher in humidity, that's a good one. You can also like limit ventilation. If it's really a problem, you can put like a little piece of plexiglass or a towel on top of here, and that will keep in a bunch of more humidity. That's what I do with my rainbow ball, because I do keep her in a glass aquarium. I cover up 75% of the lid with plexiglass, and that works very well for keeping up humidity. And again, live plants are also good for keeping up the humidity as well. As far as feeding goes, you really only need to feed them this Crested Gecko diet. You just mix it up. It comes in a powder. I think I have it. Yeah, I have it right over here. This stuff is really good. Most people just use this. I like to feed a mixture of crickets and mealworms and roaches and stuff like that, just to vary up the diet a little bit. But this, meal replacement powder is pretty much all you really need. And I have this other fruit diet. It's like a commercial Crested Gecko fruit diet. It looks kind of gross, but it smells like banana Laffy Taffy. It smells really good. And I got this stuff before I got the Rapashi, because they didn't have it at my pet store, so I had to order it on Amazon. But both of these are good. This one you probably need a combination of like insects as well, but any combination of any kind of this stuff and insects is going to be good. If you can't get any commercial fruit diets, fruits that are good are like bananas, peaches, mangoes, pears, tropical fruits like that are also very good. And as far as bugs, like I said, the main things that you feed pretty much any gecko, crickets, roaches, mealworms. You could probably feed them waxworms or butterworms or any of that other weird stuff if you want, but that's mainly going to be a treat. And if you want to sex your Crested Gecko, I'm not really going to take mine out right now, but you sex it the exact same way you would do a leopard gecko. It's just you look for the hemipenal bulges, and those will occur around 6 months of age is when you'll probably start to notice them. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Crested Gecko care. Like I said, it's really easy. Anybody can care for one. They make really good pets, and I highly recommend anybody get them if you want them. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this little care video. Again, please keep requesting more care videos. I'm gonna eventually get to pretty much all my animals, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later. Peace.